Here we have an example of thing where concept and execution do not meet. Animorphs Jake, tiger form. Today on Guerrilla Reviews. For those of you unaware, Animorphs was a long-running series of books in the early to late 90s rather, that also had a television show, a couple of video games, and toys. The toy line is not highly regarded for a number of reasons. One of which is that, well, you may have been able to get some decent animal modes, if a little funky looking. We'll get into that in a bit. It was the humanoid modes that really made the concept fall on its face. For those of you who have seen the TJ Omega Plastic Addict Animorphs Tobias, this isn't as bad as that, but it is equally bizarre. Now, getting into Jake's tiger mode itself, yes, it does at least look like a tiger, relatively speaking. Although a very misshapen one, because now a family of mine pointed this out. It's due to the way that the back is shaped. It looks like you can have somebody ride it, but that just kind of brings to mind those old images of horses with their massive divot in their backs, which were becoming horrendously heavy loads, and that's just depressing. Equally depressing, the fact that this thing looks like it's also hunchbacked. Are really supposed to make it look powerful. There's also a reason why it looks like this. Get to that later, but it still just doesn't look quite right. Additionally, I'd never seen claws that look quite like this or that. And it's got, believe me, these are going to get even weirder and more problematic as we get into the humanoid mode. Now, there is a little articulation in here. Nothing for the head, but for the fore legs, you do have this impressive range of motion, so you can at least attempt to make it look like intimidating, if a little strange. The hind legs, well, you can kind of get something of a running pose going here, I think. An imbalance, but effectively. And the tail can move up and down. Not much, but we're taking what we can with this one. And now for the humanoid mode, which the figure was packaged in and was a major reason why these things did not sell very well. We will start by removing the front paws here, revealing human hands. And already we're getting into a weird area. Oh, it's only going to get weirder, trust me. We will then straighten out these legs as best we can. Now they just didn't come with instructions, and I've seen multiple ways for these legs to go. I've seen him pose like this, like he's supposed to be on these, but these doesn't work since they don't have any real support. I've seen them like this, which gives them a far greater standing base, but it just looks wrong. Honestly, the whole thing looks wrong, but that's another matter. Okay, we'll then fold in the tail, fold out the back, bring this part upwards, and now to get even weirder, we'll fold this part like so. Oh, we're gonna get into that, don't worry. Split open this part of the chest, which is surprisingly difficult. Also problematic is the fact that there is some, looks like to be a metallic swirl on here. I could be wrong about that. So there is a possibility of this thing breaking. Bowmakers can attest this because the hands on his, when he was transforming it, they broke inside these little things, and he, well, didn't necessarily detract from anything else in the review, but it was just something of note. Okay, fold this out, fold bring the arms out, fold these around if at all possible. Yeesh. Okay, then let's see here now. Twist this part. Now let's see here now. So that I have everything as in line as I can here, because this is getting crazy. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now fold these inward. If it will let you. Fold the head back here. And carefully fold the head back. Fold this part in. Come on now. Sorry if it seems like I'm being a little futzy with this, because I don't want this thing to break on me. Okay, then we kind of wrap this thing around here, which actually brings up another step. Do this, then do this. Kind relatively holds everything together. Relatively. Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm just gonna get this done here and then we're gonna go for it, okay? Okay, so when that part's done, it's supposed to at least look fairly cohesive, kind of like this part right here, which is why I was having such a hard time doing that. Anyway, twist this part around the leg, bring these arms down, and for better or worse, here we have Jake in the human mode. Oh dear. And as you can see, there are problems. Now, as TJ Omega mentioned, that these are basically like animal-like gloves, so you at least have the human hands, but it's really kind of weird. I mean, yes, it is vaguely human, but it looks like he's basically wearing part of a fursuit. He just didn't have all the bits to it. I mean, he's basically looks like he's wearing jean hot pants and a vest. And if that's not a creepy enough image for you, how about all this kibble in the back? Yeah, I'm not entirely certain if this head is supposed to be split apart and back. It doesn't help either way. I just put it there so it doesn't get in the way, because you already got these parts to contend with. They do nice shoulders to help make things a tad more cohesive, so that's something. And as you saw before, this part of the reason why the chest is so wide is to accommodate a sort of attack mode, mutant head mode gimmick. Simply push down, and yeah. Oh, and to complete the attack mode, you put the gloves/claws back on. No real action feature. No real purpose, but it's there. Again, conceptually, I could see what they were going for. The execution needed a lot more time. Okay, and with the humanoid mode, we can see the articulation we have. We do have head swivel on both of the heads. Same ball jointed shoulder, bicep swivel, 45 elbow, nothing for the wrist, nothing for the hip either, due to the fact that it's all kind of, this part right here kind of close that articulation off, ball jointed hip, and 2 thigh swivels, and 2 hinge joints. So somehow this ended up being under-engineered and over-engineered at the same time. I really don't know what they were thinking here. And remember, this was done by Hasbro. They were basically trying to mimic the Beast Wars design from the license they gave to another company. How they messed this up so just a bizarre fashion is a mystery. One we are likely never going to get the answer to. Then again, there are some things mankind was never meant to know. Alright, final thoughts. As an action figure, this thing is a mess. The animal mode just looks misshapen and wrong. The humanoid mode is just bizarre and a little creepy. The transformation is fiddly and problematic. The two-headed gimmick is interesting, but a lot of sacrifices were made for it, so it's kind of pointless. And all around, this is just a big old question mark all around. It's not as bad as some of the figures in the line, because as I mentioned before, the Tobias Hawk is just a pile of fail, and the Tri-Rex, whoo boy, if you ever look up the Tri-Rex, be prepared to see something nightmarish. There are some other ones. They are, because I know that there is Marco as a Guerrilla. You're probably going to see a lot of that one. It is conceptually as problematic as this one. So there was just no good way to make these figures work, but they tried. And I don't think anybody's really clamoring for Animorphs third party. And if that person does exist, they are in a very lonesome club. But as a curiosity to see these things in action or in hand, well, it's something that you're not going to see a lot of for obvious reasons, and it will strike up conversations whether you like it or not. Anyway, I am the Deceptiwolf. This has been the Animorphs, Jake in tiger form. Can I remind you all, free your mind, free your toys.